Hello everyone and welcome to a special versus video. That's right, we have Planeswalk to a new Planes, Khans of Tarkir.
No, I think the plane is actually called Tarkir. The set is called Khans of Tarkir.
Well, we have no Khans in our first versus video with Tarkir.
I mean, we have a Sarkhan.
We do have a Sarkhan, we do. We do have the man himself. Today we're going to be playing with new cars, which means Return to Ravnica, M14 gone.
Yay, no more Meatball.
No more Sphinx's Revelation.
No more Pack Rat,
yeah. No more Thoughts, nope. Thoughtsy's still
there.
But everything with Thoughtsy's is gone!
Yeah.
Except the removal. Yeah, so the new set is being spoiled, and by the time you see this, the whole spoiler will be out, and you guys will be like, why aren't you playing with all the cool stuff?
There's this really cool red-white card.
How did you not play with it? But that's because we're going to be playing with some of the coolest cards from the set, and I believe. Sarkhan is unbelievable, and the first place I wanted to go with the new set was not on any of the shards. I wanted to see what Naya looked like with 8 fetches, Coursers, Elspeths, Pulukradoses.
Because Brad is not a company man.
Well, I am a company man. Because
he's a Star City company man.
here's the thing about the new set is that these shards are really sweet, and the things you can do with them are awesome. But the problem that I have right away looking at a new set is how the hell are they going to beat Pulukrados, Elspeth, Xenagos? We know these cards are insane because these cards must have gotten really pushed in development to push out all the Return to Ravnica stuff. So we didn't really want to see Theros come in and not have any impact. I mean, what actually happened is had all the impact for the entire year.
Yeah.
But you look at all these new cards, and there's a lot of cool ones. I don't remember the name, but it's the black, white, green one for 4/5.
Just stop.
It's okay. The guy that gains life and drains life.
Brad has seen the cards. He kind of knows what they do, but doesn't know the name.
I don't even know what the shards are called
We're
yet.
just going to say that there are a lot of really cool cards in the set, but they are very hard to cast. And so what we're doing today is Brad's going to be playing a Naya mid-range deck.
Yes.
I'm going to be playing a mono-red aggro deck because I've been playing a lot of that kind of deck lately. I love Rabble Red, love it to death. I think that Rabble Red, if the card quality can still match up to the new set, I think that being able to punish people who are trying to play 3-color mana bases is going to be pretty good. But let's go ahead and get into your deck tech and actually start talking about the deck.
Okay, that's fine. All right, so this is going to be something you see a lot this year. Elf, Caryatid, Courser.
Yeah.
These 12 cards are going to be in probably 30% of the decks in the field.
Yeah, I think Sylvan Caryatid is actually the outlier, I think, because Elvish Mystics, Courser Crufix are absurd. Sylvan Caryatid actually is fighting a little bit with things like Voyaging Satyr and Mono Green Devotion. Is fighting with Rattleclaw Mystic in Teamer decks or green-red decks. And I think that some people might lean a little heavily toward, or a little more towards Rattleclaw Mystic simply because it has power and toughness and has the ability to ramp you an extra 1. But the core of Elvish Mystic, Courser Crufix, and some 2-mana Accelerant is definitely going to be the heart of green decks.
Oh yeah, I mean we saw these 2 cards dominate an entire block Pro Tour.
Yep.
Adding Elvish Mystic just to give way more power, especially in a deck that has so many turn 1 green sources.
Yeah.
This is not normal, but only 4 of the green sources come into play tapped, and that's not usual for a lot of the decks that Old Standard got to see. We have 12 turn 1 green sources, which is really awesome for a deck that wants Elvish Mystic.
Yeah, the fetch lands are at a pretty interesting dynamic to the deck, especially for this specific color combination, because this color combination gets both green fetch lands. Now, we get 8 fetch lands with Courser Crufix, which is awesome, so that if the top card of your deck is bad, you can shuffle it away. And also
it mitigates the life loss.
Yeah, it mitigates the life loss because Courser triggers on lands coming into play, not actually playing them. So you always break even or gain 1 every time you play a fetch land, even if you crack it. But yeah, that's
also you can gain life off fetch lands when you have 2 Coursers.
That's true.
It's just awesome.
Yeah.
But the rest of the deck, I'm playing Pulukrados, and like I was saying earlier, I'm going to be shocked if all the other 4-drops that are in green in Khans of Tarkir actually outmatch a Pulukrados. He's just so good.
Yeah, Pulukrados is absurd. I've seen a bunch of the spoil already, and there are 4-drops that have 6 abilities, but when they come into play, they're just smaller than Pulukrados.
Yep.
And so if your opponent plays a Pulukrados first, you can just never block.
You have to kill it.
And you have to kill it. And that's one of the coolest things about Pulukrados is that he just kind of invalidates everything else. And even though he's legendary, it doesn't really matter because if they kill him, you just have a backup. If they don't kill him, you get a Monstrous and kill a guy and attack for 7 or 8 or whatever.
And the deck has a core of 10 Planeswalkers that are all very punishing if not dealt with. Now, we've seen the power of Xenagos and Elspeth and especially when they work together. But Sarkhan just fits this deck perfectly. Now, this is the deck that I want a Sarkhan. Not only is it a threat when you need a threat, but it kills things when you need to kill things, and that's something that Stormbright Dragon can't actually do.
Yeah, and it negs 3 to deal 4 damage to a creature, which conveniently is awesome against other Corso Crufix decks, because if you're on the play and you're able to accelerate into a turn 3 or turn 4 Sarkhan and kill their Courser, you're going to have this huge advantage over your opponent because you have a Courser going while they don't, and you still have a Planeswalker in play that they have to deal with.
Yeah. And then to complement the rest of the deck, we have 1 Perforos in the main. Now, this, I bet, is going to change along with the removal if Khans of Tarkir has any good removal. If there's anything, literally anything, in this color combination that I could use to kill things, it's going in this deck. Like a Mizzou Mortars
there's a Journey to Nowhere that only hits small creatures.
No, it only hits big creatures.
Are you sure?
Yes, it hits 3 up.
Oh, I thought it hit 3 down.
No, 3 up. Okay. Yeah, it kills big guys. And that is pretty good. It's 3 toughness or more. But it's also not a card, like, I want my cards to punish the early guys, right? I want to cast it on turn 2 and kill something on their board. And Magma Jet and Lightning Strike, even though they haven't seen a lot of play in 3-color decks before, that's because we had Dreadbores and we had Mizzou Mortars and we just had much better removal, like Doomblades and Ultimate Prices. Right now, there aren't any of those. Those effects do not exist anymore. And Lightning Strikes and Magma Jets also can help go to the dome when you're trying to race with dragons and Pelucranoses. But the biggest removal spell, and one of the most benefits to being in this color combination as opposed to Timur, which I looked at, right, because we only have these cards that are white and a few more on the board, is Banishing Lights got so much better because cards like Abrupt Decay, Golgari Charm are not in the format, and ways to actually deal with Banishing Light have kind of just went away. They just don't exist anymore.
Yeah, I think the only real good answer to Banishing Light is an opposing Banishing Light. So, you know, there could be some awkward scenarios where you need your Banishing Light to take care of an opposing Sarkhan or Elspeth or whatever, and then you could get blown out if they have their own Banishing Light. So it's going to be way more important to be proactive against Banishing Light than it is going to be reactive with Banishing Light. And
this is a proactive deck with Banishing Light. But yeah, so the mana base is 8 temples. We're not playing any 20s because I wanted both of these to be my red sources since I only have 7 that aren't. And we wanted the white mana out of this, and we didn't need the green mana since we had all this. So I'm not playing any Temple Plenties in the deck because I want all of my tap lands to be able to cast these guys on turn 2. Other than that, let's get to the sideboard real quick. We'll go over all the cards that are going to destroy Todd today, and then we'll get to Todd's deck. So in the sideboard, you can see that what's going on. Like, there isn't a million cards to fight Sphinx's Revelation decks.
Really?
Yeah.
Why not? Sphinx Revelation is so powerful.
I know. This doesn't look like a normal sideboard.
Yeah.
And that is because Sphinx's Revelation is gone. And now you get to build your decks way differently than you used to.
Yeah.
Before, control decks would just have this crazy inevitability, so your entire sideboard would have to be dedicated to fighting one matchup.
Mono, Mistcutter Hydras, and Planeswalkers.
Exactly. And so we don't need that anymore. The control decks that, if they do exist, are not going to be punishing you with Sphinx's Revelation. They'll be punishing you with Planeswalkers and things like that.
Yeah.
So we can actually talk about what a sideboard used to look like before they printed that card. For starters, we have 1 Perforos to help out in other mid-range matchups and control matchups. It's just a very good threat when everything's dying.
Yeah, I mean, it just complements the one in the main deck as well. It's absurd with Xenagos and Elspeth, and I don't know. It's not nearly as powerful as it was in the block constructed deck, I think, that we played, because we were way more token based. We even had what is it?
Revel of the Fallen Gods.
Revel of the Fallen Gods on the sideboard
for the Sweet 16.
The Sweet 16.
Yeah. We got 2 Glare of Heresies to help fight other Elspeths and Banishing Lights. Destructive Overrule because I didn't know how to build a sideboard yet. And a Johnny that I do think that this card's going to get a lot better. I tried putting it in the main deck, but there's in a Naiad type deck, there's so many 5-drops you're competing to play. I mean, there's 5-drops that I would play over this that I still didn't play.
Yeah.
And I'm just playing one of these because it complements in different matchups. Like, it's good in mid-range when you're on the play. It's good at fighting other Planeswalkers. You can put counters on your Sarkhan, and it's adorable. And then you can find them as well. Our anti-aggressive stuff is Anger and Magma Spray. Now, the reason that we have so many of those is because Todd's playing red today.
Yeah, and he knew I was going to be playing Rebel Red today.
No. So. Every single deck that's a Naiad deck has this many that were in block, and there are going to be a lot of aggressive strategies. And now Anger, the reason that I want to play Magma Spray is because the deck is clunky and you want an early removal spell that's cheap. But most importantly, Anger is going to help out against the, what's the bug shard. I really need to learn
Sidisi?
these. Sidisi. That Lord is going to be a deck. Now, I almost built that for today, but I'm going to wait for our next versus video so there's more cards pulled, because I'm pretty sure there's going to be one more Graveyard Enabler.
Yeah, Sardu is the bug colors, and Sidisi is just an unbelievable Magic card.
The Mythic Rare, yeah.
Yeah, she when she comes into play, she just generates zombies, attacks, generates zombies, turns all your Satyr Wayfinders and Commune with the Gods and other things into just more zombies. And it's kind of just like an army in a can type card, and Anger of the Gods just kind of counteracts that perfectly. I actually expect Anger of the Gods to rise in popularity significantly because now there's no more Supreme Verdict, there's no more Day of Judgment, there's no more Wrath of God. And we saw that happen with Slagstorm during the time when the Primeval Titan decks were really popular. There was a Day of Judgment, but there was no good control deck for it to fit in. And so all of the mid-range decks sort of had to become the control decks with Slagstorm. And now I think it's going to be the same way with Anger of the Gods. It's a little awkward because we don't have Rampant Growth. Instead, we have to play Caryatid and Elvish Mystic. But I still think Anger is going to be one of your most important sideboard tools against a lot of strategies.
Yeah. And then last but not least is Hushwing Griff. Now, I liked this card last season, but it didn't really... I didn't think it had a home. But right now...
Yeah, I also thought it was great in Modern.
In Modern? Well, the reason that I want it now is because the things that fight these kind of decks, like these mid-range Planeswalker decks, is decks that go over the top. And now there's a lot of decks that are going to be about coming to plays. Like we just talked to DC. Bug decks are going to be really popular. It also stops like cards like Master Waves, but most importantly, and I had it, and the reason that I actually put it in my sideboard, and now it's blanking, because I built this and then I forgot, but it was a creature that had a come into play ability. I can tell you that. I can tell you that was why I put it in the sideboard.
Just realize that Perforos and Hushwing Griff is not a combo.
I agree with you, but those are the decks that are going to go over the top of you where you don't want cards like this.
Ashen Rider Reanimator decks are going to be really good against us. This stops that. I don't know what Brad is thinking of exactly, but
there's a lot of
good creatures with come to play effects, and I think that if you've looked at the spoiler for Content here, a lot of the big 3-color guys also have big come into play effects too. Not necessarily ones that are great against you, but just ones in general. So.
All right. Well, anyway, I will figure it out, and I will tell you later.
Yeah, literally 2 seconds after we stop doing this, he's just gonna be like, "Oh, that one."
Yep, that's me. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching the Deck Tech. We'll get to Todd's deck right now, and then we'll go to battle.
Yeah.